Welcome to the Can Innovate podcast, the first ever podcast designed to showcase Canadian thought leadership. These innovators share industry insights, entrepreneurial best practices, lessons learned, and other tips that we can incorporate right into our lives, our careers, and our businesses. So let's get inspired. Hey, innovators, I am really excited to bring you this guest today because this guest is actually very well known in the blockchain industry as a global speaker, and honestly, he's a world traveler. I think I could call him the citizen of the world at this point. So we've got Mohamed in the house, and he's beyond brilliant. He's not only just passionate about blockchain technology, he's committed to helping blockchain ecosystem in Canada and around the world. In addition to being the CEO of Fast Access Blockchain, he's also the program manager at the Blockchain Hub, a member of the Blockchain Global Consortium, and he also leads the C Labs, the first peer-to-peer community-based incubation program for blockchain startups. And if that's not enough, Mohamed also has won the award and a recipient of the Durland Innovation Award for Blockchain Use Case and is a holder of the Beta Gamma Sigma Scholastic International Award. Seriously, Mohamed, did I miss anything in your introduction?
Oh, well, a little bit. Actually, they used to call me the Blockchain Global Ambassador. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sapna, for this amazing introduction and for having me today. I'm happy to be here on one of the probably the best podcasts in Canada, showcasing Canadian innovation to the world. Thank you so much.
Mohamed, you are a man of my heart. Seriously, no, thank you for having the time. I mean, your busy travel schedule is crazy. I mean, you just got back from Malta, speaking there at this huge, which by the way, I can't believe they actually had a huge blockchain conference in Malta. Would you say 8,000 people there, which I don't think the island is even equipped to handle that many people.
Yes, so you know, I just came back from quite a long travel. It was over 2 weeks. That brought me to first Morocco, which is my home country, by the way. So I had the pleasure to speak at one of the biggest digital summits in Africa there. It's called Solidity in French, des Assises de l'Ozim, where I had the chance to meet innovators from Morocco and Europe, Africa. It was a very successful event organized by the Association of Ozim, which I would like to thank from this stage for organizing such an amazing event. So the Minister of Investment was there, CEOs of big companies, telecom companies, technology companies were there. Then, as you mentioned, I flew to Malta to attend the blockchain summit. It was massive, 8,500 people attended. I had the chance to judge the Malta Blockchain Award, which spanned over 12 categories. So it was a very successful event as well. Thanks to Eman and his team, who were working very hard. And actually, I had the chance to talk to them early this year, and they were organizing for the event. So, I mean, it's a very tiny island. They call it now the Blockchain Island. I think the population is around 400,000 people, if I'm not wrong. But the country is all behind blockchain. They're supporting blockchain innovation and startups. And by the way, like the president of the country was there, attending the prime minister was there. So it's amazing to see how this ecosystem is evolving around the world. I mean, everyone is talking now about blockchain and the way it can disrupt and change businesses.
No, this is crazy. I cannot believe how many conferences you've been attending. Like, we've tried to schedule this podcast a couple of times around your crazy, hectic travel schedule. I mean, you've been invited to judge at so many panels, speak at, do keynote speaks. It's just amazing about what's actually happening around the world regarding blockchain. So can we start from the beginning? So for our listeners out there that are not sure what blockchain is or that they think that Bitcoin is blockchain, can we give them a simple understanding of what is blockchain and why is it kind of so important?
Yes, it's very important. And I mean, this is why I love going to this kind of event, because it's very important to spread the word and educate people on what is exactly the technology and what the technology can do. So blockchain basically is a decentralized ledger that can manage peer-to-peer transactions in layman words. So a simple example today in the financial industry, so if I'm in Canada and I want to send some money to my relatives in Morocco, so I'll go to my bank, I give my bank $100, for example. The bank will send a SWIFT message to another bank, which will send the money to the bank in the receiving country. So there are different intermediaries involved. The question is, if we are able today to send email in milliseconds, why is not the case for digital assets like money? And this is why Bitcoin came about, is to solve this problem, which is basically, so when you send an email to somebody, you still keep a copy of the email, which when you are dealing with digital asset like money, like you can't do that. So if I sent somebody $100, I shouldn't have access to the $100 anymore. So this is what we call the double spend problem, and this is what Bitcoin has solved since the early 2009. So again, like Bitcoin is just one of the application of this decentralized ledger technology, and I personally give the credit of Bitcoin to be one of the first viable application of blockchain technology. Funny enough, if you look at the Bitcoin white paper, like you won't see anywhere mentioned the term blockchain. So blockchain came after, just to describe this technology that is powering a Bitcoin or any other application that run on top of this technology.
No, this is fantastic. And are there other types of digital assets besides, currency?
Yeah, so there's actually an evolution. Some people call Bitcoin blockchain 1.0. Which is basically allowing financial assets like money to move from amongst different participants. After that, like there was a debate in the ecosystem around, okay, if we're able today to transfer money or cryptocurrency, pretty much we can do it for any kind of digital asset. And this is how the concept of smart contracts came about, especially with the advent of Ethereum, which is probably the first smart contracts blockchain platform to manage any type of digital asset. So to answer your question, yes. So anything that can be digitized and transferable, it can use this kind of technology to create a decentralized and a peer-to-peer solution and eliminate friction. So I think there was a lot of fear from the existing stakeholders, for example, banks. See, well, okay, is this technology going to eliminate some of these companies? But they soon realized that they can also use this breakthrough technology in their internal processes. For example, banks started looking at using blockchain technology for cross-border payments to manage rewards system, etc., etc. So yes, blockchain will create new business models, that's for sure, but also it will improve the existing processes.
See, this is what I love about blockchain. So people that on the podcast, they already know a blockchain junkie, because it's just so phenomenal of all the different things. The example that I really loved that I still really resonates with me is about music.
Yep.
And the music licenses and, the royalty fees, about how it's really able to be distributed, using the blockchain technology with self-executing contracts. And I was like, oh, that would actually really change how the music industry does things. And it would eliminate a lot of other third parties in there that take their percentage of cut, because there's just less hands to go through. And I was like, that's a really cool way of doing things.
And also timing, when you talk about royalty, I'm not an IP expert, but I have heard and I've read that it takes a lot of time, for example, for these guys to get paid. It's the same problem in finance. Like when you send money cross-border, it could take a couple of days. So timing is also important. Like this technology can save a lot of time and can create a lot of value for the end user. And by the way, like one of the projects we are working on right now, it's called Artscription, and it's basically using blockchain technology to secure provenance of painting and any type of art. And reduce forgery and create value for artists and musicians, etc. And by the way, like we are partner with one of the best Canadian artists, Gary, and Vandana Taxali, which is an IP lawyer here in Toronto, to launch this project. So yes, I mean. Digital assets and intellectual property is a prime use case for blockchain technology.
Ooh, I'm excited and intrigued about this whole art to eliminate forgery. That is so cool. What other cool projects are you working on, Mohamed?
Yeah. So actually, it's my use case. My use case, or the research I have done, which by the way, won the Berlin Innovation Award, was around art and blockchain, and I had the chance to meet Vandana at one of the blockchain out programs, and we have discussed the idea. And there we go. Like there's a project coming out of Toronto, which is considered one of the hotbed of blockchain technology. So we are very fortunate to be here and very lucky to be here. Within this thriving ecosystem.
I love it. And the other thing I love about the blockchain technology is about, and can we talk about a bit about this? Because every time I open up the papers, I see that there's been another hit for security, another breach of security, right? Whether it's the bank records getting hit or the Fitbit application, you name it, it just seems to be another threat of security. So can we talk a little bit about the encryption and how blockchain works and, from a security perspective?
Yes, it's a very good question. So blockchain technology uses cryptography. So cryptography has been around for decades now to secure transaction. But most importantly is the consensus algorithm. Is how do you provide an incentive to the participant to play by the rules. We have heard a lot of news about hacks, etc. But technically, it's the blockchain as is has never been hacked. Like the Bitcoin system has never been hacked. It's basically the problem is in the tools. So when we talk about exchange, it's actually the platform that is running this kind of secondary market to exchange tokens. It's not the actual blockchain, because it's very, very, very. It's not impossible, because now we are talking about quantum computing, etc. But it's very, very, very hard to for example, tamper with the Bitcoin blockchain system, for the simple reason you need to own more than 51% of the computing power, which is not conceivable at this point. So I think And again, from an education perspective, we need to distinguish the technology and the tools that are running on top of the technology.
No, I love it. I think it's really great that there is this cryptography, because honestly, we just need things a lot more secure, right? And people talk about financial transaction records, but there's just so much more of our personal identity information. And that's something else. Like I'm a big junkie also, because thanks to Dr. Ann Kavokian about privacy by design, about all of our privacy issues, and then data elements that self-identify us and making it more anonymous. Yep. And I love that blockchain, the technology and all the security allows for us to have all that data being shared, but in an anonymous way. And I think that's really a thing that people need to pay a bit more attention to.
Absolutely. Like self-sovereign identity is something that excites me as well. So, like, for example, sorry, I'm using a lot of banks as an example. I come from financial industry. So when you go and open an account with a bank, you give them your ID. But do they really need all the information on your ID? No. So they might use the additional information they have, like your age, your address, etc., as a tool for marketing. Who knows? So, but with blockchain technology, you can enable this self-control of identity and give the power back to the user, where you can allow who has access to the information and what type of information they have access to. So it's a very powerful value proposition, and again, so this is the whole spirit behind blockchain, is to give the power back to the end user and create value for the end user.
I love it. So can we talk about some other use cases besides banks and financial institutions of how people could see how blockchain technology could help? Like, I remember in one of our classes that we had, and by the way, guys, I got certified with my whole blockchain business certificate through Mohamed and his whole blockchain hub, and I am a huge advocate for them. But one of the our teams was actually working on using it for resumes, about authenticating whether or not someone actually has those credentials, because there's a lot of, I don't want to say fraud, but I guess it is fraud, on people's CVs, that they embellish certain things, or they say that they've graduated from here or they have the certification, but there's no way to validate it. And this kind of technology could have actually helped with all that, those pieces of it. So is there other types of, or you want to add to that example?
Oh yes, absolutely. Like education is again like another area where blockchain can help, especially with ensuring that degrees, etc., or any type of document is authentic. So absolutely, it's a very good use cases. Like right now, we are working with one of the leading universities in Middle East. I won't say the name because of NDA. On putting together a system that will allow employers to verify credentials real time using blockchain technology, because it doesn't only impact the institutions or the university, to also impact the employment process. Like as a fresh graduate or somebody who's looking for work, you may be receiving different offer and you may be eager to start your job, but the employers taking probably too much time to verify your credentials, to verify that you have actually worked at this place and you have studied at this university, etc. So we can simplify all of that. There's a trust element to it, right? So you're providing the employer or the institution with a document that they don't trust, so they need to verify, right? So there's a pretty much a trust element that blockchain technology can solve. One of the other use cases we are working on right now is cross-border merchandise, and especially when you are dealing with, for example, chemicals, which is a hazardous product. So basically, it takes a lot of time to clear the merchandise at the custom. So and sometimes like takes months for the end user to receive the product. So blockchain technology can automate this kind of transaction by using the capability of smart contract to increase trust and track the whole process of this procurement of chemical products, for example.
It's so cool. I just absolutely love it. So out of curiosity, is there a particular country that is more advanced in the blockchain or has the highest adoption rate?
Yeah, so we talk about the U.S. and Canada as some of the leading countries in this field, especially in terms of developers. So, but other countries are picking up. We all read and hear about what, for example, Dubai is doing, and they want to put all the government's record on blockchain by 2020. There are other countries in Europe. I have been to Brussels speaking about the blockchain technology in Belgium. Middle East also. A couple countries there are looking into how they can use and utilize blockchain technology, and I'm very. I mean, the understanding has evolved that now, like even the decision makers, they understand that probably there is a debate around cryptocurrency, but there are lots of opportunities that blockchain as a technology can enable, which is I think a very good development in terms of mass adoption of the technology.
Yeah, I've always been an advocate for the technology. I've been doing business transformations for way too long, and I think this technology enables so much. Cryptocurrency, I'm still not 100% clear about it, and I still see all these gaps, but yeah, I'm with you. The technology, I think, is phenomenal. Just process improvement, security, you name it. It's just, there's a lot of things that it's going to solve, and I think that's phenomenal. But since we're talking about, and you brought up cryptocurrency, I gotta ask, is there kind of a dark side of blockchain?
Well, so this is an interesting question. Like we have heard about the Silk Road, etc. example, and actually I was reading an article before our podcast that some region in Quebec they paid a ransom in Bitcoin. So again, like there's this privacy paradigm that goes with blockchain technology where you can send transaction without really knowing the identity of the participants you're dealing with. I think it's an issue in some use cases. But again, on the other side, if you look at illegal traffic, etc., fiat currency is also used in drugs, illegal arms, etc. So I don't think that there's today like a very in-depth research on like how cryptocurrency is used in the dark side. So yes, it could be used, but we don't have exact numbers on what is the scale of the problem, because it's a problem also that is touching fiat currency as well. So
fair enough. So are there
but on the other side, sorry, I just want to add something. I think that blockchain technology has the benefit to improve transparency, right? So
absolutely. No, I'm with you. Like I was actually thinking more about the ICO scams that are out there. So, kind of buyer beware so that people can kind of get a little knowledgeable what to look for. And by the way, for our listeners out there, ICO means initial coin offering, which is kind of similar to an IPO, in the stock market, but we're talking about things in terms of cryptocurrency, which is not part of the normal regulatory system, but they are building some sort of, I believe they're building some sort of regulatory system around ICOs.
Yes.
But there is a couple of things about, there's a lot of ICO scams because people are afraid that they're going to miss out on the next Bitcoin and blockchain or whatever it is.
Yes.
So is there a way, so if someone sees this new ICO and they're raising funds, is there some kind of things that people should know of what to kind of validate, or is there kind of some hints you can kind of give them of what they should do for due diligence perspective?
So, I mean, in terms of due diligence, it's basically looking at the use case. We have seen a lot of use cases. For example, people who are planning to change the world using blockchain technology, but really today, so the question that anyone who's investing in ICU should ask is the technology ready to support this kind of application? It's like you're building YouTube in the 1960s, which is impossible because the foundational technology, which is the internet, could not at that time support YouTube. It's a use case that doesn't make sense from a technology perspective. So the second thing is looking at the team, if they're actually involved in the project. There were some projects that were just using some people names and pictures there. They weren't even aware that they were part of the project. So basically, is taking this extra step and talking to the people involved in the project, and chatting with them, what do you think about the idea, and see how passionate they are, and if they have actually the expertise to take the project off the ground. And again, it's a risk. There's a lot of uncertainty today around this phenomenon of initial coin offering. Regulators are looking into it. Like, for example, the Ontario Security Commission here has launched a sandbox where blockchain startups can talk to regulators and see ways they can navigate the existing regulation to do their initial coin offering properly. So I think there are tools that people can utilize to do a proper initial coin offering.
Great advice. I love that. So guys, if you're going to invest in some ICOs, here's the best practices. Read the use case, read that white paper, do a sanity check that they're not saying they're going to really rebuild the entire internet or something crazy. Just check the feasibility of it. Check out the team. Are they really who they say they are? Do they have the credentials out there? I think that's a pretty kind of sane advice that you should do that for any type of investment.
Well, this is not a financial advice.
No, it's not financial advice. It's just do your due diligence.
Do your own research.
Yeah, do your research. Yes, don't just throw money at anybody and anything that says they are doing something there. But so for those though, seriously, the blockchain industry is growing faster and faster. We had so many guests on it about talking about they're using blockchain from a healthcare perspective and, making sure that, digitizing the records and, all those different things. There's a lot of people that are interested in getting into blockchain as a career specialty. What advice would you have for them?
There's a lot of opportunities in terms of career. If people want to work in the blockchain space, and it's an industry that is rapidly evolving. The number of job posting out there are just crazy, increasing at a rapid pace. I think the first step is doing some homework by reading, for example, the Bitcoin white paper, the Ethereum white paper, and some of these viable projects that are using the technology to understand exactly what is the logic behind and the spirits behind this technology. Second is basically going to events, talking to people who are working on blockchain projects, and third, when the candidate or the person who are looking to get into this field feel that it's actually something that they like to do because it's important, so they can start educating themselves, taking some programs. By the way, like the Blockchain Hub, we offer now over 15 certification programs in blockchain, whether it's business or technical programs, to educate people and provide participants with meaningful and accurate information about technology and how they can use it and what are the processes. But at the same time, like if I take the blockchain app as an example, our vision is basically also to grow the community and to create connections. And this starts from the classroom to the events we organize, like frequently at York University. Yeah.
No, I love that because people just are curious about it, and they can just, if they can meet other people and learn from others and connect. Because I'm a huge proponent of, people getting out there to network, but network in a productive way and being very clear of what it is that you're looking for. So if you're looking for to have an understanding what blockchain is, that's going to have a different perspective of someone trying to get into the field of blockchain that, they may volunteer on a project to get the hands-on skills or whatever it is. Yeah. So there's definitely different ways of getting involved in this growing industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And like personally, I've met a lot of people I'm working with today in networking events that have been organized whether at York University or outside. So it's time consuming. Sometimes like people think, okay, well, there are lots of events, but it's true that you need to be selective. And because actually one of my friends told me the other day that blockchain events are a bubble. So there's just so many of them. So it's true that it's put again lots of work on the attendees to pick and choose the event they want to go to. But it's a good opportunity to meet people who are working on projects, volunteer in blockchain projects. There are lots of amazing hackathons happening across the globe where you can actually go and team up and work on use cases, and it's a good way. It's a good way to learn on how this technology is powerful.
Love it. And out of curiosity, is there a book that you may recommend, or a couple of books that you recommend for those blockchain enthusiasts or wannabe enthusiasts out there that you may say, hey, this will give you a good introduction?
Yeah, so there is the Blockchain Revolution by the Tapscott. There is another book by Melanie Swan, which is the Blueprint, Blockchain Blueprint. And there are lots of resources, for example, on Medium, which is a blogging tools that people can check out. And basically, like, there are some newsletters that provide insights on what's going on in the industry, because it's very important to keep up to date. What might be relevant today in the blockchain industry might not be tomorrow, because there are lots of researchers and there are lots of amazing people contributing to this ecosystem across the globe. And this is the beauty of this technology. It's very decentralized. So it's very important to keep up to date with the latest trends and what's going on in the different platforms, how people, for example, are solving some of the major challenges facing this technology today, like scalability, etc., because there are different ways to solve this kind of problems, and different projects are working on different approach to solve this kind of issues. So it's very important to keep up to date, newsletter, events, going to events, following some key influencers, especially on the technology side. So, for example, on Twitter, it's a good way to keep up to date with the technology.
Very sound advice, and you get to meet maybe people like Mohamed out there. So
yeah, I'm happy to. It's always a pleasure to meet like-minded people in this space. It's funny, I was in Malta, and I was grabbing a sandwich at one of the Turkish restaurants there. I met this guy. He was sitting in front of me. I was with my name tag, with my summit name tag, and he realized that he said, "Hey, you are at the Malta Blockchain Summit," and he was at the same event. And we were talking, and he was explaining to me his ideas. He's basically from Europe, and he's explaining to me the idea he has in mind on using technology, for example, to share data and to share Wi-Fi, for example, or data plan. So, and I was talking to him, and I gave him an example of similar use cases, or somehow similar use case, and he was very happy. And now we are in touch, and he sent me questions, etc. So it's a good way to meet. You never know who you're gonna meet in this kind of event. So it's very important to go and network at this type of event.
It's very good advice. Very good advice. So, out of curiosity, when you get a chance, when you're at home, do you have a favorite restaurant?
Yes. So, my favorite place here in Toronto is a restaurant in St. Clair. It's called the Rushton. So I love going there. So it's a very nice place. Good food, good people, and a very vibrant environment. So it's a place I like to go.
Love it. So it's going to be on my list. Maybe we can go grab dinner there one night and catch up after you come back off of another one of your worldwide adventures at another conference.
Of course. Well, you are welcome. Of course.
Done. So finally, how can our listeners connect with you?
So I'm available on LinkedIn. People can connect with me on LinkedIn. In terms of the project, I work on the FA Enterprise System or FastX blockchain. People can visit our website, fabcoin.co. In terms of the blockchain hub, and if you want to learn about the program we offer, is theblockchainhub.com, and through Sapna as well.
Well, don't worry, audience, guys. I will have all these links in the show notes, so you can just click and you're right into it.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Mohamed, for your time. Seriously, all the knowledge and insights you provided is just amazing.
Thank you, Sapna, for having me. And by the way, I wish a happy anniversary for the Can Innovate podcast. I'm super excited to attend the event this week to celebrate with you and with all the Canadian thought leaders. And so thank you for all the work you are doing, again, in showcasing Canadian innovation to the world.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for joining in and tuning in this week. Next week, you got another really cool episode. Hope you enjoyed the sneak peek. I'm going to try to do this and see how this works. If you guys are interested, like the little sneak teasers, let me know. I'd love to hear back from all of you. And don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a review. And let me know if you know of another Canadian innovator that's doing something really cool around the world. Let's get them showcased. Or if there's an innovation trend that you would like to specifically focus on. Anyways, looking forward to hearing from all of you, and talk to you next week. Cheers.